Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome to what in mid-December must surely be the last Phoibos review of 2019, and one that comes with what I think are a couple of bits of good news. The first is that Phoibos have released at long last their first GMT watch. Yeah, I know. I'm happy too. I think after 3 years making watches, it's high time they launched a GMT, so I'm delighted to see them add a version of the Eagle Ray GMT to their range, and it's a quartz. Do you know what? Every time I review a quartz, it's a really interesting reaction. I read the comments. I still try and read and heart as many comments as I possibly can, and invariably there are people who say, "It's a quartz! Why didn't you tell me it was a quartz? As soon as I heard the word, I stopped the video, hit the dislike button, left this comment," and then calm down mate, calm down. Think of the long-term health of your heart. It's only a watch after all. I mean, I get it to an extent. Some people just don't like the technology. It doesn't have the history. It doesn't have the romance of automatic watches, mechanical watches, and you don't get that biomechanical relationship between man and watch that you do with an auto. But it does have certain benefits. I mean, there's this little piece of metal that you put in the back of one of these watches, and it's a power source that keeps it ticking accurately and reliably for somewhere between 2 and 3 years without ever having to set it. Incredible, right? Personally, I have no problem with quartz. If you watched my State of the Collection video a couple of weeks ago, 2 of my longest held watches and my dearest held watches, my 2 Omegas, are both quartz. That was the technology that was available at the time that those watches were made. And if they were autos, they would probably have gone into the bin a long time ago. So I've got no problem with quartz. Towards the end of 2019, I've also found myself increasingly looking at adding quartz watches into my personal collection. I got sick of looking into a box and wondering which watch do I need to start winding and resetting the time on today. So I get it. There's definitely a place for quartz in my collection, and I'd imagine in most of your collections as well. More good news. Phoibos sell direct, and they have decided to do discounts. You will find a link in the description of the video and a code JOMWA10 getting 10% off this or any other full price watch from the Phoibos collection. Now, it is an affiliate code. If you use the code, you get a discount and I get a small finder's fee. Just so we're clear, thanks very much. Also, so we're clear, they sent me this watch for free. I don't have to return it. So with all of that being said, are you still here? Are you still interested in having a look at a Phoibos Quartz GMT? Good, you should be, because I think this watch is gorgeous. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Well done for making it through 3 minutes of waffle. Let's have a look at the watch. Let's have a look at it online first of all. 5 different colorways to choose from. Now $200 less 10% discount equals $180. That represents a new low from Phoibos in terms of pricing anyway. There's a green dial, there's a blue dial, there's an all black, there's the black and gilt one. Now normally that's the one I would have gone for, very much my cup of tea. However, this black and red fade dial caught my eye. That's the one I asked them to send me, and I have not been disappointed. I think it looks great. Super sensible if you're after a travel watch, one of these quartz GMTs. It's going to be ultra reliable for you, as well as being able to keep track of your home time zone. And there it is in the older style Phoibos packaging. Still comes with a 30-day exchange policy and a 1-year warranty. And look at it. I think that is really attractive. I posted a picture of this one on Instagram at Just One More Watch, by the way, the other day, and somebody said it looked a bit steampunky. I kind of see what they mean with that red to black fade dial, and I think really it's the mixture of Arabics and Romans that caused them to come to that conclusion. But I think a very attractive, very well proportioned watch. 41mm in diameter. Just over 12mm thick because it's quartz, doesn't have to be particularly thick. Very compact 47mm lug tip to lug tip. 20mm lugs on the supplied Tropic rubber strap with a matching bead blasted stainless steel clasp. This one comes in at 85 grams. So 316L stainless steel case. We've got a fixed bezel here, inner rotating bezel obviously, so the outer bezel is fixed. Twin crowns, one at the 2 o'clock, one at the 4 o'clock. Both of those screw down and both of those are signed with the little Phoibos octopus logo as well. That is a piece of double domed sapphire crystal with 3 layers of anti-reflective undercoating apparently. You can see a kind of purpley blue hue here when I'm showing you it under the studio lights. Case finishing is very simple, kind of satinized, matte finish, very consistent throughout on the mid case and on the tops of the lugs. We've got a little bit of polish on the end of those knurled crowns, and as I said, both of them feature the now famous Phoibos octopus. We have got a knurled coin edge bezel with a little bit of high polish there on the top edge, but as I said, this one is fixed. It does not rotate. It is the inner bezel that does the rotation. So let's show you that one in operation. Unscrew the top crown, the crown up there at the 2 o'clock, and you're able to rotate that 24-hour inner bezel there. No backplate, no wobble with that one at all, unlike certain other super compressor style watches that I have reviewed this year. Now the second crown down here at the 4 o'clock operates the Ronda 515 Swiss Quartz 24-hour 4-hand plus date movement. So unscrew that one, 300 meters of water resistance, or at least 300 meters of claimed water resistance. I always wonder whether some micro brands are putting rather arbitrary figures on the dial there, but hey, it's certainly dual screw down crown, screw down case back, so I'm not going to question that figure too much today. Pull the crown out once, roll it forward, and you can adjust the date as you can see there. Roll it backwards and you have a fully adjustable, independently adjustable 24-hour hand. So if you live in Adelaide or one of these slightly unusual places that has a half-hour time difference to the rest of the world, you will have no problems at all adjusting this one correctly. Pull it out one more time, the movement will hack, second hand stop ticking, and you can adjust the hour and the minute, and as you can see there, the 24-hour hand adjusts appropriately also. All nice and straightforward, and as I said in the intro, you shouldn't have to adjust this one all that often, given how accurate these little Ronda 515 movements tend to be. Flipping it over to show that screw down case back, as I mentioned, high polish finish on this one. Usual spec sheet, Phoibos GMT, Swiss Ronda 515 24-hour, 300 meters water resistance, and the sapphire crystal. You also have the full global city scale with all of their times relative to GMT. If you are on your travels and you want to set that GMT hand, there's a quick reference there on the back. Do bear in mind though that high polish will scratch up rather quickly. Zoomed back in on the dial and we'll go macro for a close-up of this one. Mixture of applied and printed. The octopus logo just printed there underneath the double baton at 12. GMT 300 meters printed in silver above the single baton at 6. There's also a single baton at 9 and a framed date complication there at the 3 o'clock. Circular indices applied everywhere else. Quite a large handset on this one. I've likened this to the 50 Fathoms Bathyscapes before, with those large, fairly straightforward syringe rectangular hands, and this one certainly continuing the theme from the other Eagle Ray watches that I have reviewed from Phoibos. You've got that double train track with Roman numerals printed around the edge there, and that inner rotating bezel also printed with a nice flash of colour. The triangle up there at the 24 complementing the red triangle tip of the GMT hand. I really do like that red to black fade. I think they've got that one spot on. Nice mixture of matte and high polish finish. You'll see when I get this one outside in just a second. I think the watch looks a lot more expensive than it actually is. And on wrist, I think the sizing of this one is just about perfect. 41, so it kind of splits the difference for guys who normally prefer 40s and guys who normally prefer 42s, but given that compact lug to lug and a nice tropic strap that conforms to the wrist straight away, this one wears very nicely indeed, I must say. And that's the proper top-down overhead shot on my 7-inch wrist. You lose nothing with legibility when you're looking at this one from a distance either. Those slightly large hands I mentioned earlier on, clearly defined indices, clearly visible 24-hour hand always as well. Really nice design, I must say. I thought the original Eagle Ray was a little bit boring. It didn't do much for me. I thought their Eagle Ray Bronze with the Sellita 200 is probably their best watch to date. This one is not far behind. It is a really attractive looking watch. But when you take it outside, I can't help but wish for a few more layers of anti-reflective coating on the underside of that sapphire crystal. It does tend to glint and bounce the light around a little bit. But as discussed when we went macro earlier on, a nice mixture of high polish surfaces, a little bit of high polish shine to that in a rotating bezel means I think this watch really is a bit of a looker. And as you can see there on wrist, a bit of curvature to the lugs, wears nicely on me. Quartz, it's slim. It's not the 10.7 that Phoibos claim on the website. It's definitely over 12mm thick, but that's not a problem. I think it's a very well proportioned watch. And the lume is excellent. They may have only put 3 layers of anti-reflective undercoating on the glass, but they put 15 layers of BGW9 pumped into those hands, the indices, the inner rotating bezel, and the GMT hand. The only thing that isn't loomed on this watch is the date complication. They have done an excellent job. As you can probably tell, I like this one a lot. I think they really have got this one right in terms of the design, the overall looks, the color tones, the size, the shape, the way it wears, the mixture of brushed and polished. I think the whole thing looks pretty good indeed. So what are my moans and niggles? Well, I refer you back to the introduction. Quartz. The guys who aren't interested in quartz have probably left me an angry message and gone on to the next video a long time ago. But I think for a budget travel watch, it's well under $200 with the discount. This one, I think that 515 24-hour movement is entirely appropriate. Tropic strap, you're not getting a full bracelet for your $200 though. Perhaps they will add a bracelet as an option at some stage. I'm not sure how they would go about it given that satinized brushed finish. Perhaps they'll leave this one on a tropic strap only. I reckon it would look hot on a bit of brown leather though if you do want a slightly more formal look. And those steampunky looks, the kind of mixture of Arabics and Romans, aren't going to be to everyone's taste, I admit. It does have a particular look about it, this watch, but one that I very much appreciate, I must say. So good stuff, Phoibos. You've come up with a couple of oddities recently. That Great Wall was a little bit of an unusual one, as was your Sentinel, but I think you're very much on the right track with this Eagle Ray GMT, one of the strongest offerings that I've seen from Phoibos to date. Who knows, perhaps they will do an automatic version of this one with the ETA 2893 in it at some point, but just don't expect it to be less than $200. So there you have it, the Eagle Ray GMT. Quartz, you can say it quietly if you want to. I think one of Phoibos' most successful designs to date. It looks fantastic. It is such a pretty watch and it wears very well indeed. Now $200 for a GMT quartz on a rubber strap, on that tropic strap. You're not getting it on a bracelet, so there's a number of pros and cons to this one. But if you've been looking for a reliable and rugged travel watch that's going to serve you long term, I think you could do a lot worse than checking out one of these. And don't forget the 10% discount code in the description of the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.